Hey everyone, I'm NornQueenAlexis and welcome back to the channel and welcome to this 9th edition changed video. Changey video? The changes for 8th edition to 9th edition video. Today we're talking about Overwatch. So in previous editions and how you play it right now, I don't really think I need to explain this, but every unit gets to Overwatch unless they can't see the target that's charging them. So there are fundamental problems with Overwatch. A lot of armies, they're too powerful with shooting, so melee is kind of a null factor this edition. Though a lot of armies can take advantage of it, such as Blood Angels and Tyranids, and make it into combat. I do apologize about my voice. I don't know what it is. I think I blew out my voice last night because we were just kind of partying, so I do apologize about that. But it's okay because I got my boomer juice with me. The tea flavored one, which is the best, hands down. So let's dive right into this. And again, I do apologize about my voice sucking. So we've been taking a look at some of the changes to the core rules that have made the biggest impact on your games. The studio has received a lot of feedback about Overwatch. So these updates are designed to make a more deliberate and thoughtful action. Make it a more deliberate and thoughtful action. The goal is to help balance melee-oriented versus shooty armies and inject a little more strategy into both sides. Now, before we really get into this, I have a feeling 9th edition is going to be heavily melee-based. And by that I mean, especially if we're using the ITC rules of terrain, where you can't see through the first floor. So it means that armies are going to be able to get around and get through quicker to your opponent's front lines, especially things like Marines. Overwatch plays a critical role. Hey, that's a good show. Is that a show? Does that count as a show? I'm going to count it as a show. I'm definitely counting it as a show. It causes armies that prefer melee combat to exercise a bit of caution as they rush into groups of enemies and punishing them for charging into heavy firepower. While this is still true in the new edition, things will be worked out a little bit differently in practice. What's new? So let's take a look at this. The first and biggest change is that Overwatch has shifted from a standard reaction to a core stratagem. So it is kind of cool that they're bringing in core stratagems, which are the stratagems that are in the book that everybody has access to, such as pass a morale test, command reroll, and interrupt. Now we have Fire Overwatch and the cover one, which the name of it I can never remember. Costing 1 command point to perform a stratagem can only be used once per phase. Ooh. You'll have to think long and hard about your odds of success. For example, aggressors armed with Flamestorm gauntlets are sure to roast some attackers, whilst half-strength extra-military squads may struggle at causing damage. Okay, use the stratagem after an enemy unit has declared a charge against one or more units from your army. One of those units, just one, that is chosen with as the target for the charge can fire Overwatch before the charge roll is made. Okay? Once you decide to fire Overwatch, it works pretty much as it has in the current edition, with shots hitting on unmodified rolls of a 6, unless specified otherwise. Okay. So my first question is, how is this going to affect Tau? Tau have the ability that everybody within 6 inches can. So does this mean that only one unit can? Or are they going to be able to get a stratagem that allows multiple units to do it? They'll probably have like 3 units that could do it. That's just my guess, okay? Guess. Strictly my guess. Certain rules enable units to fire Overwatch at an enemy unit before it can charge. If an enemy unit declares a charge that targets one or more of these units in your army that have such rules, each of these units can fire Overwatch before the charge roll is made. Okay, so that just pretty much answered my question about the Tau. So the Tau are more than likely going to have something that more than likely gives them the ability to fire Overwatch with everybody. A unit cannot fire Overwatch if they have already If they are... Wait, where am I? A unit cannot fire Overwatch if there are any enemy units within engagement range. I know a thing or two about engagement range. It's a lot of fun. Usually ends up over there. Anyway, Overwatch is resolved as a normal shooting attack. Ooh. Except you hitting on 6s. One resolved in charge phase. And used all the normal rules except for the unmodified hit rolls of a 6 always required for a successful hit roll. Firing a model's ballistic skill or any hit roll modifiers. So you get rid of all modifiers for this, which is kind of cool. Again, I do apologize about my voice. Apparently spending all night partying in Arizona is a lot of fun, but you lose your voice very quickly out here. In addition, when firing Overwatch, it does so at the charging unit. Any rules that state the unit cannot be the target unless they are the closest, i.e. do not apply to firing Overwatch. Finally, they actually just clarified that. Overwatch. Before the charge roll is made, all charged targets that fire Overwatch can do so. Can never fire Overwatch while the enemy unit are in engagement range. When firing Overwatch, shoot with a unit, but attacks only hit on unmodified 6s. So pretty much the same. It's the same, except they're clarifying a few things like, you know, the stupid, like you can't shoot a character because there's a closer unit and dumb things like that. Overall, this is a huge boost to massive assault armies such as Orks and Tyranids and Blood Angels and pretty much Space Marines at this point, and everything that's not Tau and Eldar and Imperial Guard, because even Sisters are a melee army right now. So it's smashing dozens of units in the enemy's lines, yada 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 yada. Okay. Terrain benefits. Now this is interesting. They have been changing up terrain quite a bit. A lot of people don't realize that terrain in 8th edition has been updated about 5 times so that it makes sense, and no one's really noticed the differences. Infantry units hold steady or set up defenses if no enemy is within engagement range. Hold steady. Overwatch attacks hit on a 5+. Okay, so if you're in defensible terrain, you hit on a 5. That's really good. Set to defend. Cannot fire Overwatch, but adds 1 to the hit roll in the next fight phase. Ooh, that's interesting. And they talk about the tide wall, which is kind of cool. When facing a big gun line units that dug in to some solid terrain, this crucial boost can make your opponent think twice, especially if it's a long-range charge that may well end in failure. God, I can brain today. Okay, so the terrain rules are really, really, really messing with me quite a bit. I gotta get more into them, and I'm also shaking, so I do apologize. All right, let's dive into the next part. Cool-headed. You can reroll failed morale tests taken for this unit. In addition, if a unit declares this unit as a target for charge, this unit cannot fire Overwatch. Ooh. Oh, can fire Overwatch, and will score hits on an unmodified roll of a 5 instead of a 6 when doing so. If a unit declares this unit as a target of charge. Okay, so what if you have both of these? No, they don't stack, they just hit on 5s. Okay, that's interesting. This one dude up here is just like, nope. All right, be careful, this heavy army, blah, 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 blah. So you can get through Overwatch by just piling in. Okay. Norse Cult veterans are having none of the enemy's charge. Fire Overwatch attacks, blah, 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 blah. Be careful though, a savvy enemy may be able to catch you off guard. If you're in your deployment zone, the strategic reserve rules allows you to deploy on your own table edge even if it is within engagement range of 1 inch. Ooh. So you can just pop up in terrain, pop up in your deployment zone and just in combat. That's actually really cool because you can just pop up in fights. Numbers see the charge. Just rarely that it's possible. It won't come up very often. Actually, I can see this coming up quite a bit. So the way strategic reserves act, I think, keep in mind I do have to reread all of this stuff to make sure I get this correct, but it's you can hold some units in reserve, and if your opponent's in your deployment zone, you can actually just plop them in during your turn, and they just move in from the board edge, and you can actually just move right into combat, it looks like. Strategic reserve rules allow a unit to deploy in their deployment zone. Get out of here. Of their own table edge, even if it's within engagement range of an enemy. Ooh. So yeah, you could just pop up and then charge your opponent in your own deployment zone during your turn. So that's actually really cool. So we get some really interesting fights that can happen, because a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll put out a defense or a castle and force your opponent back. But if you can actually just put a bunch of units, especially close combat units like aggressors, in reserve, and then just pop them up and then just blaze your opponent off the table, that could be really useful. Also, I think it would pop up a lot more because a lot of armies in this game are extremely fast. Like anything that pops up within 9 inches of deployment can just pop in and get right into melee. So that's Space Marines, Tyranids, Blood Angels, which kind of Space Marines. Sisters of Battle can get there turn 1. So this is actually really cool. I'm excited for this because we're actually gonna get some new synergy that I really want to see. So overall, I want to know what you guys think about all these changes. Personally, I think this needed to happen because Assault Armies kind of sucked in 8th edition. Well, they don't really suck. They're just really hard to play. They're a high skill army. So it's going to be interesting to see how they play off of this. So I want to know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Also, while you're down there, please check out all the links in the description down below. There you can follow me on all sorts of social media. Follow me on Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. You can also follow me on Patreon. Patreon goes a long way to helping out the channel, especially now that I'm in Arizona. Yeah, I'm kind of excited about all the new opportunities here. And I need to fix up my studio something fierce because kind of in a bedroom. Yeah, I don't even have my studio lighting. So it's really weird. There's a lot of stuff I need to pick up and I need to get my voice back. Again, I do apologize about that. As always, I'm NornQueenAlexis. I love you guys. Bye.